Hey guys, sorry about that. We had a little problem with Rumble. It didn't give us all of the information, or I couldn't get it to give us all the information we needed. So just did a quick switch. Let me make sure audio is okay. We're good on audio. So if you're in chat and you're hearing this, because hopefully you should still be hearing it, just do a hard refresh and we should come up on video. We've got a giveaway, which I think I'm just going to start doing on the weekly weekly live streams. I think I'm just going to go back to doing like some jerky. A couple of house cleaning things. Once again, last month's winner did not claim their prize, which is a shame because this person put a lot of effort into entering. I looked and they came back almost daily for their free bonus and then never responded to any of the ways I reached out to them. I even tried a little bit more than we normally would because they obviously put some effort into it, wanted the prize. So a good note there is don't give us an email address you're not going to respond to. Like I've got an old Gmail account that I literally never, ever check unless I'm looking for like something specific. If I entered a giveaway with that, I'd never know that I won. So give us an email address. I mean, I don't feel like we bombard people with it. Some around the holidays, we'll send a lot more, but during the regular year, we send 1 or 2 emails a month. So it's not like we're bombarding people. I did deal with help. I helped somebody earlier this week who was having the Meatgistics emails problem. We think we've given enough information on how to prevent yourself from getting just barraged with emails, because if you have everything on from Meatgistics, it can get overwhelming. There's a post on how to do that, and I'll post that into the chat. I'll do it right now-ish, because it definitely can help for sure. Couple other things. So on the giveaway, we are going to do that on the September live stream. That is going to be a little bit of a weird one. We're probably going to go on the 31st. We're not going to go on the 1st because that's the opening day of dove season. And we did that last year and kind of bit us in the butt. Austin is then gone. Austin and myself are gone the 2nd and 3rd. We don't want to wait to the 6th, so we'll probably go live on that one on the 31st. So make sure you join us for that. We'll send out an email on that. No, live stream is not the right thing to search for. I currently am in possession of not one, but 2 obliterators. I've been chasing people around the office with these things all day long. Haven't caught anybody yet because they're real heavy and they're hard to run with. I don't want to damage mine by throwing it, and J. Michael Kaminsky was nice enough to send this one in to me, so I'm not going to damage his. It was a really cool thing we did. So he got this, and I don't know if it was a defect or whatever. He can talk about it in the chat if he wants, but there were some chips in it right away. Dalstrong seems like they have really good customer service, so they replaced it for him. Also probably because he has an impressive collection of Dalstrong knives. But we tried sharpening this on a bunch of different things. I initially did try with a diamond steel just to see. I knew that wasn't going to do it, but I wanted to see. Couldn't do that. I then tried to hook it up to this Lansky system, but it's just too big to use that for. And then trying to use it on a stone, or trying to use a stone on this, I should say, just too difficult. And to be honest, I was just a little bit nervous about it. I really didn't want to mess up this knife. So what I ended up doing is taking the True Hone and sharpening it, getting all those nicks out really fast. I mean, it did it really well. One of the great things about the True Hone is you can change the bevel angle. So you change how the wheels are coming in at it. So for a cleaver like this, we want a broader point. We don't want it to be a real sharp angle. We want it nice and broad because it's going to chop. So we want that edge to have a good amount of ruggedness to it. A real fine edge on this, like if we try to put a razor edge on that, the first time you hit cartilage or bone, that's going to bend or even maybe chip, and that's not what we're looking for. So we Adjusted the True Hone down to have a nice wide bevel. It worked beautifully, worked so well, in fact, that even though mine didn't need it, I went ahead and did mine as well to get it back to as nice as it was. He also was nice enough to send me this leather strop, which I've been playing with. Definitely makes a surprising amount of difference. It took me a while to kind of get used to it. So what a strop is at the very end, after you've sharpened however you want, you're going to want to run your knife backwards. So not forward like you would with a stone or something, but backwards. And this is what took me a while to understand, was super light. Like, it is not a hard motion. I think I was used to seeing like old gangster movies where they're doing the straight razor and they're, so I assumed it had to be hard, but no. Once I started doing it super light, it makes a huge difference. And we'll show the difference on that. That's why I have some paper over here. Here's a knife that I sharpened and then stropped, and here's a knife that I just sharpened. We've got a video coming out. We've already shot everything for it on knives and sharpening systems. We go through the Swiss Sharp handheld one, the Lansky, the Diamond Steel, the Stones, and the True Hone. And we talk about what type of angle you want and what that angle means on different knives. So that should be out somewhat shortly. We just made it a Meatgistics University meat processing equipment video, since that's kind of where it fit the best. But yeah, safe to say, I'm getting more and more into sharpening with my steel. It is therapeutic or like meditative. It's just nice to, you get that really nice feeling. It's just a nice smooth motion, and I absolutely love doing it. So I keep doing it more and more. Let's see here. There's the stop the emails. Okay. In this thread is some information for anyone if you are having the problem with Meatgistics emails popping up all over the place. This thread will help you do that. Help you turn those off. Okay. Now, first thing I want to talk about here is something that I've talked about for an incredibly long time. I'm going to let you guys preview. I'm going to take it down because it's not completely ready yet. And to be honest, I don't even know how well it's going to format. But you'll get a look at what the troubleshooting document for Meatgistics meat processing is going to look like. What I've done with this is I took some of the most common meat processing issues. I then made the issue a column, the product you're trying to make a column, the casing, whether you're using one, what the cause could be, and what the fix could be. The long-term goal there, and this will be a living document, we'll keep adding to it, but the long-term goal there is in the fix column, hopefully eventually all of those, or at least a decent amount of those answers, will be hyperlinks to a video. For now, it's just what it is. But I'm going to post that, and then I will... Well, all right, some minor formatting issues, but nothing too bad. So this is that. If you want to take a look at it, feel free. I'll leave it up for, I don't know, the rest of the day or something, so you don't need to go right now. But that obviously needs some pizzazz or something, but just getting it to format like that in Markdown, or the weird Markdown HTML mix we use for Meatgistics, was a long process. Obviously, if you see anything on there that you don't like, or if you have suggestions, just comment down below that. I am going to delete this, but I will read everything before I delete it, obviously. All right. Before we get to what I want to talk about for the most part today, let's quickly grab a winner for some jerky and a seasoning of your choice. What we do here is all the tender jerky we've made, we have it in bags that are just a couple ounces. We let you pick that. You get that, and then we let you pick a sausage, jerky, or whatever seasoning you want from Excalibur. Or if you don't do a lot of processing. We'll let you switch that out for just a couple Excalibur shakers. I mean, obviously we'd prefer you get some sort of jerky or sausage seasoning and get you into the addiction. But Excalibur seasonings are good anyways. All right, so the winner of that one is Butch Greens. How many popular do you think will it in a PK 100? I don't know what that is. Let me read back through and see if I can. Yeah, so Jeremy Ridley on Meatgistics, I posted a link. We got a copyright notification on that too, which is so stupid. But whatever. One of our employees took a bunch of videos of Austin and I, and they ran it through something that made it look like we're doing this wow, you can really dance thing. And it dug itself deep into my brain, and I couldn't get it out. So I was hoping that sharing it would make it go away, but it's not. It's constantly in the back of my mind. Yeah, so new shirt. It's got the leather Meatgistics patch, so it's not like what I'm now like Austin. All of his shirts have these now. Couple quick things on that. I know I talked about this or posted about it, but we're bringing in hoodies, beanies, an apron that's not quite as expensive as the leather apron. It's going to have a leather little top here and then a really cool print on some cloth. So it'll be less than half the price of the leather apron, still be reusable. It's still pretty cool product, so we think you'll like that. Then for anyone who saw pictures of Austin or Texas kids at the steak cook-off event, we have this black hat, like black front hat, white mesh back that I loved. It looks awesome. So we found those, got those in adults. And the new run of these digital camos, which are our fastest selling hat by a wide margin, are going to have the leather Meatgistics patch on the back here. And we should, from here on out, all hats should come with that. Obviously, what we have in inventory now, we'll have to continue to go through. But, yeah, so I think that's it. Hoodies, beanies, aprons, hats. Yep, that's it. All right. Just run through chat real quick. Was Butch Green here? Yeah, I haven't seen him either. Give a link to a so J. Michael Kaminsky, the giveaway should be on this page. Should be on waltonsinc.com/live. There should be 5 ways to enter right over there on the side. So I don't know if you're watching on YouTube or where you're watching, but go on over there and you'll be able to. Yeah, so the new apron will be washable, but I don't know about rinsing it. Actually, I don't even know about washing it. Top of it's going to be leather. I will find out on that. That is a good question. No, don't open up. Oh, no. I mistakenly opened Photoshop on this laptop, so we're in for a good 5 minutes of my computer struggling. Close. That wasn't that bad. Okay. All right, so topic I want to talk about today is food storage and food security. I don't know what you guys have been following, what you've been watching, but I look at the food supply chain and what's happening now, and I'm actually more concerned than when COVID started. I've got some stuff at home, like in case everything goes to complete crap, which I don't think it will, but just in case, it's always good to have. So I've got a couple buckets of that in the basement, but what are some like normal common sense things that people can do to make sure their food lasts longer, and what foods can you bring in to have some easy long-term storage? So something that you don't need equipment for, or really not much equipment, and you can do just at your house. The first thing, and we're going to get into this in other videos, depending on how well it works, pretty extensively, I would think. What is news to me, and may not be news to other people, is you can actually freeze dry food at home. I thought you needed this really expensive, either like a freeze dryer, or they sell these special vacuum sealers that can also control temperature. So you would set it at like 10 degrees at 27 inches of mercury for however long. And that's supposed to like actually help with the freeze drying. But it does, apparently, you can freeze dry things by leaving them on a single layer in a freezer. And we have this big, nice lay down freezer and the walk-in, which is probably what I'll use for like 2 weeks, then vacuum sealing it. And that is supposedly almost as good as freeze drying. So there is a ton of things that I've been wanting to freeze dry that I will now be freeze drying and report back to you guys on. In the end, to really freeze dry, you still need a vacuum sealer. But I feel like most of our followers either have one or are interested in having one anyways. So we're going to go ahead and do a bunch of experiments on that. I'm really excited to try that. I have a feeling it's not going to be as good as, what they send up with the astronauts, but if it works, it works. And have some extra freeze dried bags of food is always a good thing. All right. So the first thing I would tell anyone is go to this post on canning and growing your own vegetables that was started on Meatgistics quite some time ago and has grown into, I think, our second or third most popular post. It is obviously behind the What Did Everybody Cook Today, because that thing is never going to die. And I think there's a snack stick one ahead of it. But there is an unbelievable amount of good information in here. The really nice thing about Meatgistics community is everybody likes to share their knowledge with everybody else. So if you can learn from other people, that best way to learn, especially when you can talk to that person by simply typing something on Meatgistics. And for the most part, they respond pretty quickly. I'm probably the slowest of the big responders at this point. Ugh. But yeah, so that's a great place to get started. I know my wife and I, we have an HOA that kind of can be pretty strict, but we're going to build this thing that Tex sent. It's a raised bed, and it just looks awesome. It's got like kind of little compartments coming off it that you can grow all sorts of things in. So it's up off the ground, away from the ridiculous number of bunnies that we have. I don't know if it's high enough to stop like a coyote or anything. It's not, I'm sure, but still, we're definitely doing that next year, and we're going to get into canning our own vegetables, because why not? I mean, I don't know how much money we spend on vegetables a year, but it's a lot. So take that out of it. And then a couple of quick tips. Cornstarch lasts forever, and it's a great thing to use to thicken up any type of sauce you're making, and literally just keep it somewhere cool and dry, and you'll have it forever. It never goes bad. Couple of easy things to dehydrate. So if you have a dehydrator, it's going to be a little bit easier for you, but most of what you're going to do in a dehydrator can be done in an oven. It's just a little bit less convenient. But for large scale things like beans, I'd actually recommend you do it in your oven instead of your dehydrator. For beans, you want to do anything that's in a pod. Like I'm addicted to sugar snap peas right now, eating bags and bags of them. Those you wouldn't want to dehydrate. You'd really just want to freeze those for long-term storage. Obviously, they're not going to keep as long. Edamame would be the same thing. So anything that's like you eat the pod as well, you don't want to dehydrate those. But pinto beans, anything like that, a lot of people like to blanch them quickly first. Blanching is just like think of it as like almost like a parboil. And And then right from blanching them, don't let them sit out. Don't do anything. Just get them right into your oven. Let them cook at 100 or cook dry at 150 degrees for however long it takes for them to be really nice and dry. If you have a convection oven, that can be better. Convection oven is just a regular oven that keeps the air moving around. We have one back here, but you do have to be a little bit more on top of it because they can over dry. So yeah, after they've been dried like that, vacuum pack them, throw them somewhere, and they're good for 5 to 10 years. Just don't try to eat them without rehydrating them. It's supposedly a really painful way to go. A couple other just easy dehydrating things. For fruits, you've got apples, cranberries, which is always funny to me because I only see a cranberry as it's been dehydrated. When I was a kid up in college, I used to go fishing on this pond that was a cranberry bog. Like, I had never seen one. I was walking through the woods one day looking for a place to fish, and I saw cranberry bogs, and it just blew my mind. Anyways, kiwis, oranges, bananas, pears, and cherries, which I don't think that would be very good, to be honest. I've never eaten a dehydrated cherry. I have no interest in it. Some veggies that you can easily dehydrate are carrots, mushrooms, though I don't know why you would want to, onions, potatoes, peas, corns, and really importantly is beets. Beets are a awesome food. When we talk about like no cure added or natural cures, that's what a beet is. It's in that family. It acts more like sodium erythorbate. So it can be a cure accelerator, but it really helps develop color, and it's great for you. It's a really, really packed with micronutrients, really, really good for your blood. So eating beets, definitely something that I always do. And if I was preparing for long-term safety, I would definitely dehydrate those. Obviously, pasta is really good for storage, a couple of years at least. So here are some items that you can get, do nothing to, and they will last literally forever. There's cornstarch, maple syrup, honey, but I'm almost positive it is raw honey only, not like just your store-bought stuff. Sugar, obviously we've talked about sugar being like that for a lot. Popcorn, vinegar, and of course, it's got to be the third most popular, whatever. The favorite drink, liquor. So a bunch of Meatgistics people will love that because we keep going back and forth with what the best liquor is. Whiskey and bourbons for the most part. But yeah, keeps forever. So in the 5 to 10 year range, things that you can keep for that long with minimal to no extra work on it. You've got wheat, white rice, not brown rice, barley, corn, and since I live in Kansas, I never knew what this was before I moved down here, but every third field is sorghum, however you say it. Apparently that just is good for basically forever, which I guess explains why so many fields are full of it. For things that are like the 1 to 3 year range, you've got pasta, ramen, jam, chocolate, some jerkies. It depends on how you make it. You got to get that water activity low, and probably a good idea to still vac pack it and leave it in the fridge. And obviously some dried fruits. Now, all of those are just fairly easy things that you can go and buy. You don't really have to do much to. But let's talk about vacuum sealing. Like, what are we doing? What's the best way when we're trying to go for like length of, sorry, I'm trying to be quiet with that, length of product life. So obviously there are two different types of vacuum sealers. There is the chamberless, which is where there's just the opening of the bag goes into the machine. That machine has a mini chamber in there. It pulls all the air out. And there's the chamber bags. Chamber bags are where the entire bag goes into the chamber. Chamber pumps out all the air and then seals the bag. Couple of big difference on those, though. I think more and more that the biggest one might be the flexibility of the bag. Because these bags for the chamberless have to have texture, they don't form around the meat quite as well. A way you can tell if you've got a really good seal is if you grab either side and pull it, you shouldn't see the bag pull away from the meat at all. I don't think I've ever gotten a chamberless bag to do that. There's always some give in there. Now, a chamberless bag is going to pull about 22-ish inches of mercury. And inches of mercury is one of those weird measurements that we still use. So what they used to do is to measure a vacuum is see how many inches, I guess, that liquid mercury would get pulled up some standard size tube. We still use that. We obviously don't have mercury in anything anymore because it's super bad for you, but they still use that. So about the highest you're going to get is 30. 30 is considered perfect, basically. So you get 22 with a chamberless bag. You get somewhere in the range of 28, 29 with some chambered bags. I believe the Walton's chambered machine does like 27 and a half. I'm almost positive that was what we rated it at. And when I pull at this, nothing is pulling away from the meat. We don't get any separation from the bag. So obviously a chambered bag is going to be better for true long-term storage. For a couple weeks, a month, it doesn't really matter. But when we start getting into years, then that is going to come into play. Another big thing that a lot of people don't think about when they're storing things for long term, every time you open or turn off your freezer, you're defrosting the food. You might not defrost it much, but it's going to start defrosting. That is a big part of why you get ice crystals on things. It starts to thaw a little bit, then refreezes. Starts to thaw a little bit, then refreezes. We try to open our freezer here and at home as little as possible, but I mean, we're not using that for long-term storage. We're just using it as a place to freeze things temporarily. But yeah, in general, you want to keep them as closed as possible. There are also some people who will spray chicken and other meat before they put it into the freezer. It having that really high water content on the outside, this is obviously before you vac pack it, will help the outside freeze quicker, and supposedly it helps protect it. That's why if you ever bought like a frozen bag of chicken breasts at the store, they are super hard on the outside. It's because it's got that, and I believe they had some, I want to say vitamin E to the water to help it freeze a little bit quicker. Now, and forgive me, I know we've talked about this a ton, but the chambered bags, which are these, are far less expensive than the chamberless bags. They seal better, they'll last longer, so why would anyone go with the chamberless? Because the machines that these use, this is many times less expensive than a chambered machine. But it might not matter. You can make up that cost difference in a year depending on how much you vacuum seal. I've done it before, but I think 1,000 8x10s of the chamberless bags is like $200 and something, and 1,000 of the chambered bags is like $50. So if you use it a lot, you can make up that money really, really quickly. Again, 22 degrees of mercury and 27 and a half. I know that doesn't sound like a big difference, but it definitely is. When you're talking about you want something for long term, that is going to make a huge difference. All right, let me pop into chat. I'll draw another winner first. Did you ever see if he responded?
Butch Green did respond.
He did. Cool. All right. Let me grab another winner. I believe Butch's won before because I remember somebody winning and having the squirrel from whatever that movie is where everything's Ice Age. And that's his avatar. All right, Brian Smith. Brian, let us know you're here. But the time you save sealing a deer is an hour. Are we talking about... I'll just go through and reason. Every time. Sorry, ND Mike is saying he wishes he liked beets, but he can't eat them. He gags every time. Like raw beets, or are you trying to eat pickled beets? Because raw beets, they don't really taste like much, to be honest. Just call it Milo. I don't get that. Ryan, I don't understand.
When you're talking about sorghum,
Oh, is that another name for it?
I believe so.
Oh, I've never heard that. All right, cool. Jagermeister Sausage. That's a really interesting idea. So if you made it like land Jaeger and made it out of Jagermeister, called a land Jagermeister. Trying to think how you would do that. I don't know what's in Jagermeister that might mess with the meat. But I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. I don't think it would short out your emulsion. A lot of times when we're adding things to cured sausages especially, we're worried that it's going to fight against us when we're trying to get everything to bond together. When you break the bonds between the meats and you're trying to smoke it, you're going to end up with a couple of things. You'll end up with a very low taste, dry, crumbly product because all the fat will cook out of it. We want that nice bond to keep everything where it should be. But I don't think... Jagermeister. I mean, someone's must have done it. Somebody has done everything. Land Jaeger comes up when I search Jagermeister Sausage. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try making land Jaeger seasoning, and instead of using water, try adding Jagermeister. Because I like Jagermeister. I know a lot of people don't. I was very excited when Jaeger bombs became a thing. And I've been wanting to make more land Jaeger. We make like a modified version of the land Jaeger. A lot of land Jaeger is like truly dried out. We just make it kind of more as a smoked sausage. We do some extra drying and try and flatten it out a little bit for some authenticity. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to try that. Another thing we've been talking about a lot here, Patrick has been kind of harping on us to do this for a while, and Austin really liked the idea, is in here, we're talking about getting a big TV or monitor of some kind, and then anytime we do any processing, like if we're making snack sticks for something, if we're making jerky for something, we'll just go live. Like, don't necessarily have to interact with you guys the whole time, but we want to hook it up so as we're going, we can see any comment that comes up. Now, a lot of the time, what will end up happening is all of a sudden we'll just be live. Like, we'll develop some email list for people who want to be notified, but that would be like, in 15 minutes, we're going to be doing this. But occasionally we'll definitely plan some stuff out so we can answer questions people have on specific products as we make them. Don't know how it's going to go. I don't know what the interest level is. It seemed like people on Meatgistics got a kick out of it. And we always pick up a couple of viewers just from having it on waltonsinc.com and our YouTube channel. So could be helpful, could be fun. Most of the time I do any type of processing, I have headphones in and listening to something. So it'll be more fun to interact with somebody. All right. Sorry, I rambled there.
I wanted to say that you do look like the guy that thinks Jagermeister is always a good idea.
Did that Brian Smith respond? Yep, he's here. Cool. So we will go ahead and email both of you, and then we'll get that sent out. Just let us know what seasonings you want. A couple of other things. I emailed the winner of the ceramic knife. For whatever reason, I went at it on the True Hone again after everything was done because I wanted to get it really sharp before I sent it out, and it wouldn't cut paper like no matter what. I don't know how I ruined it after I kind of got it to work, but I did. So that knife is gone. It is never going to get sent out to anyone. So I'm going to send that person a new knife because we do still have some. And then whoever won the 2 boning knives hasn't responded yet. The first person we already took care of. So if you won something last week, check your email. If you've sent me something, like if you've responded, please respond again. We were having some email problems earlier this week. So yeah. Papa Sop says, everything in Jagermeister is awful, but we sure sell a lot of it. Go for it. But with Walton's tenderizer attachment, a Hobart, would it fit a Hobart? I highly doubt it. Hold on a second. Where is it? So the big problem that I believe you would have is this is a, I believe, 3/4 inch 6 spline attachment. And then even if yours is, it has to be somewhat at least the right size, the hole around it for this to fit into. And I don't think it probably would be. If you're in the area, you're obviously welcome to come by and try it. But yeah, my guess, unfortunately, would be no, that it won't. Even this 6 spline hookup is fairly standard for a retail grinder. But I guess what some people do is they make the area around it either too small, well, whatever. They have different area around it. That's a way better way to say it. And a lot of times, like, that won't hook up. We had that problem with one of our old 44-pound meat mixers. We were sure it was going to work with our grinders, but it didn't, just because the size of this around the hookup was too small or too big. I can't remember which. All right. So I get samples for the suggestion. Oh, yeah, when we make it, sure. As long as you're somewhere where I can send it to you and it's just a day or two. Ben H says, too much in college makes my stomach turn. What about expansion when freezing vac sealed stuff with a lot of water and soups? Does it tear the bags? I've frozen liquids before, pure liquids, and I've never had that happen, but that is another really good one. So apron washable and freeze liquids. How would you say it? Burst bag? My thought, I'm fairly certain no, you're not going to run into that problem. I don't know the science behind it, but when I froze liquids before, the bag stayed perfectly intact. I don't know if it's the fact that there's no air in there for it to interact with and expand. What happens when ice freezes, or when water freezes? It expands. What is expanding in it? You're slowing down the molecules. I don't think air comes into it. I don't know. That's a really interesting question, though, and I'll look into that some more, and we'll do a demonstration or a test on it somehow. I mean, obviously, we can't freeze a bag of water during a live stream. Well, we might be able to with our Sub-Zero. We'll work on that. That was a good idea. OD on Jaeger ones. You can have my share. Oh, there we go. Okay, I haven't seen much expansion. Now it makes sense. I haven't seen much expansion when freezing sealed soups or liquids. You can get the bags that full. Okay. I got on late. I have some chamber bags that do not work on a Weston Advantage, will they work on Weston bags? So chambered bags do not work with the Food Saver type of chamberless bags. It needs this texture. The reason for that is if you put this bag into the chamberless machine, what it will do is it'll start to work, but it'll draw all the air out of here, and then that bag is basically sealed. Nothing from behind it can get past it because it's already pressed so close together because you've pulled all the air out of here. Having this texture allows for the bag to close like that, but still have enough room or still have a way to pass air from further in the bag up through into the little mini chamber. So chamberless or a chambered bag is never going to work in a chamberless machine, unfortunately. We even tried, what is that? I hear something. We even tried, we brought in this unit that was a chamberless bag that supposedly worked with chamber machines. What it was it had the little chamber, the tiny little chamber in the unit, and it actually pushed out a little nozzle into the bag. But there were tons of problems with it. You still ran into the exact same issue, and you had to get the product right up against where you were going to seal it. Otherwise, it did the exact same thing. It just closed off right here. Liquids were also a huge problem in that, though they solved for that a little bit by having a liquid container on the back where it would catch the air, the water coming in, but it didn't work well. We ultimately decided not to carry that. It was a great idea. It just not great execution. So TJ says, is there a rule of thumb about changing the oil in my chamber vac? When we used to do the VP 215 a lot, I think our rule of thumb was every 1,000 bags. I believe instead, though, we worked that out to every 20 hours of use. I believe that's right. So every 1,000-ish bags, you should go ahead and switch that out. Great Jerky and Excalibur Southwest Mesquite Rub is really great also. Okay, yep, so Butch has one before. Frozen, okay, when you freeze for anyone who's just listening, J. Michael Kaminsky saying, when frozen holes come, it's from the bag banging around, not from the expansion. Joe is saying he's frozen soups with 0 issues. So that's awesome. All right, we've only drawn 2 winners, one more winner. And then we'll get out of here because I still have a ton of work to do today. So we brought 2 new people into the media department. John, who's behind the camera, was talking earlier, and Rachel, who's doing a lot of the stuff on the website. So that has freed up a good amount of my time to start doing other things, but I've just filled it with other things. It's ridiculous. I hate being bored. All right, Mike Hinrichs. Mike, let us know you're here. And anyone have any other questions or anything else they want to talk about, let me know in the chat. I'll stick around for a couple minutes at least, see how everyone's doing. And if Mike's not here, we'll draw another winner. I'll go through chat, see if there was anything I missed. Get out of here. We've got this fly in here, and we have those little tennis racket fly killers. They're electric, and it's awesome. But I bring it home because I have to leave the door open from my house into my garage, or my staffy goes insane and chews holes in my door, like literal holes in a hardwood door. The dog is not mentally well. Feel bad for him. He's got real nervous issues. We've had him for 4 years now, and he's not getting it. He's not like, oh, okay, these people are coming back. He thinks I leave and I'm gone for forever. But whatever, I love him. Andy Mike says, I don't think black licorice sausage would be my cup of tea. I think you're wrong. I think the Land Jaeger could actually work well with the Jagermeister. Plus, it's just really interesting. So, So apparently we need a giveaway and or a sale on the chambered vacuum sealers. So one of the nice things about having our entire line is last year, guys, trying to put the sales together for Thanks Black Monday, for, Thanksgiving, pre-Thanks, and the 13 Days of Christmas was a nightmare because we didn't have anything. Like, we had a bunch of medium range stuff. Like, we didn't have any grinders. We didn't have any sausage stuffers. We didn't have, well, we might have had some sausage stuffers. Anyways, this year we're stocked. Like, we've got everything. So we've got a ton of really cool sales for you. And that Thanks Black Monday one should be pretty interesting this year. I would bet that we're going to have some really cool flash sales during that live stream. And that's always a fun one. No, that was Ted Malta who asked about that, the expansion. All right, that's pretty funny. Butch Green says, "Congrats for what? I was in hearing the contest and entering the contest and didn't hear." Yeah, I'm a big fan of this polo. I've bought a couple other ones that I'm going to start looking more professional around here. We actually shot a video, the knife sharpening stuff. Ooh, we'll do that. We shot the knife sharpening one earlier today, and this couldn't work on a video because this pattern did something to our camera, and it just made it look like all swirls. So I had to switch into a long sleeve. Okay, so this is the knife that I did not use the strap on. These are both sharpened the same way with my Norton IM200 stone. So see if we can get you to see and hear this. Oh, that wasn't very good at all. So, I mean, must have a little nick in it still, but you can hear. Wow. This is why Austin always tells me not to do live demonstrations. But then, this is the one that got some leather stropping. I mean, it makes such a huge difference. Trying to get some rigidity. I mean, that's just an enormous difference. You saw how much this one was struggling, and I should be embarrassed about. Did I grab the wrong knife? Because this has a huge burr in it. Yeah, I might have dropped it. But, I mean, these Walton's knives are decent knives, but they're not expensive. Like, I wouldn't really normally expect that to be able to just slice through it like that. And the Dalstrong, we were trying the knife thing with that. It'll kind of do it, but it's not satisfying at all. But thank you to J. Michael Kaminsky for sending me in your Dalstrong, letting me play around with it, letting me learn that I am not skilled enough to do a cleaver or something like that on a stone. Also really helped to kind of figure out something with the True Hone that I didn't know, because I was super nervous about trying your knife. I know this was a replacement knife for you, but I did not want to ruin it. And we didn't. We've got it really nice and sharp for you, and we'll get that back to you. All right. Quickly see if there's anything new.
I really want to see one of those Dalstrongs on the Forge by Fire mannequin and see what damage they do.
Like
the Forge by, yeah, the mannequin where it shows the damage.
I've always wanted one of those like ballistic gel things. Like I'm sure it's similar to that. What was the name of the show where they would take two old-timey warriors and like say this one could do this and this, and they'd like stab this ballistic gel body and see which one went fuller. Yeah, I've always wanted one of those. Brian Smith, you add 10% more chorizo? I also agree that the regular chorizo is better than the Mexi chorizo. I think what that is, I think the chorizo is more designed to mimic dry cured chorizo. And the Mexi chorizo is just like trees, the type of trees where they make more classically down in Mexico. I vastly prefer the dry cured chorizo. I think it does a little bit better mimicking that taste even when we don't dry cure it. And we are having some issues with our water here. So yet again, the whole dry curing experiment has gotten pushed back. At some point, I just need to go ahead and do it. The duck fat prosciutto or duck prosciutto we made was really good, and I used no humidity control on that. I'm just a little bit more nervous about grinding up a product and then not being able to control that and just like, letting it see what happens. I'm certainly not doing a full prosciutto until that's fixed and I can monitor everything perfectly. I don't know what Uncle Nearest is, but it makes me a little concerned. 15% extra on the habanero barbecue. That's what's your fat content, Brian? Because I would describe that as a strong seasoning. Not that it's hot, because it's not. It's got some heat to it. But that's a very flavorful seasoning. To add 15%, that's a lot. Yep. So 31st-ish, but I think almost certainly, because we can't do it we're not going to do it on the 1st. Austin and I are both going on the 2nd and 3rd, and coming back that Monday, I don't want to wait that long. So 20 to 30%. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I'll make a small batch up with an extra 15% seasoning. It just sounds like a lot, especially that bag. It's like 4 pounds enough to do 25 pounds. So adding 15% is a significant amount. Not that I have anything against strong flavored season or sausages. I love them, but all right, it's your favorite. I will give it a shot. Ryan, that was not nice. We're trying to be nice to new members here. Saying that you're regretting getting him involved that's a mean thing. Matt posted a ridiculous number of great looking pictures when he first joined, and we like him for that. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. Quick note, we will probably start moving the Meatgistics live streams to every other week. There's just too much going on here for me to be able to prepare for these every week. Every other week will make it much, much easier. But like I said, I'm going to start doing at least jerky giveaways on everyone. So you win some, you lose some. All right. Thanks, guys.